There's no motor in there right now, but pretty soon there's going to be. What is up with it, YouTubes? Quattro for Life here. Very excited to bring you guys this very special video today. We are going to be looking at all of the parts that I have gathered so far for my new high performance AAN engine build. I need to do the video right now because I'm about to send off all of the bottom end parts to machine shop to get all the work done. So I figure now would be a good time. I still have some more stuff coming in, but I have like 80% of, everything. So figure now would be a good time to make this video because once, I get the bottom end and everything done, we're not going to be able to see the rods and the pistons. So just wanted to go ahead and get this out of the way. Also want to do some comparisons with some of these parts while they're out, see some of the differences. So that's another reason why I chose to do this right now. I just want to say that this next engine build is a lifelong goal of mine, but it did not come cheap by any means. I worked very, very hard this last year plus and made a lot of sacrifices to make all this happen. This car has achieved many milestones and accomplished many of my personal goals. When I was a kid, I always wanted a car with a lot of horsepower to go have fun with, take friends for rides and, go racing and just have a blast, So it feels pretty good to be able to make all of that happen. So that being said, my intentions for the car are simple. I had wanted to make more power, but I have already maxed out the factory pistons and the cylinder head. So it's now time for a real deal high performance engine build capable of supporting in excess of 1,000 horsepower. Don't plan on running that much power right now, but that definitely is, a milestone and a goal of mine, for a very long time. So, one day, but for now, the goal is just to really overbuild the engine, so that way I just have a higher, ceiling of power, so I don't, have to run it just max out all the time. But enough about all that shit. Let's just get right into the video. All right, let's start off by introducing the most expensive part I have ever purchased for any car ever, the cylinder head. I have been in frequent contact with Jeff Gerner at FRP this last year. I've always wanted an FRP CNC ported race head with all of the goodies, and now I am proud to say that I finally have one. I sent Jeff this head a while back to get all the work done. It has full CNC port job on the intake ports, exhaust ports, combustion chambers, got the full SuperTech valve train with the 0.5 oversized valve, high rate valve spring, and titanium retainers. I was advised by Jeff to keep using my factory lifters, so that is the only factory part of the valve train assembly. I know that question comes up. The man said to use the factory lifters. If they're good, keep using them. So that's what we're going to do. So to go in the head for the build are these FRP spec race cams right here. They're made by a company called Webcams. I will put the specs up on the screen now. So these cams, the biggest advantage, and I'll show you guys, we will compare these cams to the 7A cam and the AAN cam. The biggest advantage is it is going to make a little bit more up top, like past 7,500. I can see in my data log that right when I hit like 7,500 RPM with 7A cam, they fall off. Just like any of the information that you read, it's definitely true. I've seen it with my own two eyes. So these are going to keep going, past 7,500 and even past 8,000. Plan on keeping the limiter at 8,000. Don't plan on going past that, to keep it safe. But the other advantages is the extra duration that are on these cams. It's going to definitely help wake it up a little bit earlier. So plan on, getting these in and testing these babies out. But, for the time being, we will just do some comparisons. I have a stock cylinder head that I will put next to this one so we can kind of compare. And like I said, I'm going to get the other cams out so we can look at all that stuff too. Oh yeah, look at that. That is so shiny. Oh yeah, looking good. Just take a look at this bad boy real quick. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, this is so pretty. Awesome. All right, well, let me get that other cylinder head. All right, so we got the FRP race head on the left and a factory AAN head on the right. Just want to show you a quick comparison of the intake ports. The intake on the factory head, you can see like where the injector port is, there's some material right there. It kind of goes all the way down. You can kind of catch your finger on it. But if you look at the ported head, it does not have that material. It is all gone. So there is a lot more space for the injector port. There's a lot more. The actual channel itself is much bigger. Just taking a measurement of the outside. I'll show you with this little nifty tool that I have. I'll put that in there, and that will basically mimic the size of the port on the factory one. And if I come over here and put it into the other one, you can see there's a big gap. It's just about 3 millimeter, but you can see just how far that moves back and forth. That is a big difference. The channels are much wider near the valves as well. If you look into the actual channels, they're much wider, much more volume. Exhaust ports, exact same way. It's pretty hard to see it on camera. You really got to see it in person, but that's just like a quick comparison that I want to show you guys. Like, I was very impressed when I pulled this out the box. I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. But then when I got out the factory head and put it next to it, I was like, wow, that is a big difference. So that's pretty much it for the heads. If you guys want to see the valves, not an insane, it's only 0.5 millimeter bigger, so not too insane, but you can kind of tell they're definitely bigger. So we'll go ahead and move on to the camshafts. All right, got the cams laid out here. These are the exhaust camshafts. I chose to compare the exhaust cams because for easy viewing for you guys at home, the end of the exhaust cam is just a lobe. There's no gear or anything like that in the way. So just figured that'd be a good comparison. So from left to right, we have AAN, 7A, and FRP spec. The AAN and 7A share the same duration, but the 7A has more lift. So in my experience, the torque comes on pretty good, like 4,500 RPM with the AAN cam, but they start running out, 6,500 to 7,000. The 7A, the torque is, in my opinion, a little bit higher. They kind of hit around like the 5,500 RPM, but they pull all the way to 7,500, no questions asked. So, that question has come up a lot, like, should I put 7A cam in? And in my personal experience, if you're running 500 plus wheel horsepower, and that is, the purpose for the car, like what I do, I just like to go out and go really fucking fast, then by all means, put the 7A cam in. I mean, they rip absolutely hard, especially if you already have a turbo that's a little bit laggy, especially if it's, before that RPM range where they kick in, then it's really not going to matter too much. But otherwise, this cam from FRP that Jeff has designed should be capable of the best of both worlds. The reason for this, it has the same amount of higher lift like the 7A cam, but it has much more duration. You can physically see the duration. I mean, just look at the 7A. It comes to a nice point right there, but look at this bad boy. It's just nice and fat all the way. Even at the top, there's really not a point, like, doesn't really catch. So the AAN and 7A exhaust camshafts are 213 degrees of duration, and this FRP is 256 degrees of duration. So that's a very big difference. That should really help, light the turbo up quicker. And then, like I said, these cams will definitely be better going, you know, to the 8,000 RPM limiter that I have set on the car. Won't be dropping off and having to basically pull fuel out after 7,500, because that actually is kind of a big deal, especially on the top end, because you know, the RPM dwell, you're kind of at high RPM, but you're at high RPM for a long time when you're at higher speed. So that little extra 500 RPM of, you know, losing power is it's definitely noticeable when you get used to the car. So this cam just seems to be a perfect option for me. Like I said, trying to get the best of both worlds. Want to light the turbo up quick as possible, but have as much power all the way to the top as much as possible. So that is definitely the reason why I went with this cam. And just by seeing them here on the table, I can definitely assure you that it will be a big difference. So hoping to do some comparisons. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to just drop the 7A cams back in and then swap them out later. I'll probably decide that, you know, when I get closer to building the engine. But for now, just, you know, thought you guys would like to see that comparison of the cam lobes. All right, now let's move on to the second most expensive part of the build, the rotating assembly. This stuff is definitely not cheap. And like I said, I worked very, very hard. I pretty much bought each of these major expensive components one at a time, and just, you know, slowly waited for them to come in, slowly regrouped my budget, and, you know, just kind of moved forward as time went on, and just slowly been collecting this stuff. So these are coated, as you can see. Very, very, very beautiful, very sexy. You know, I have a good friend at work. He always tells me, calls these the sexy piston. You know, when are you going to put those sexy piston in, dude? And coming soon, buddy. So these pistons are rated at 250 horsepower per cylinder. So for 5-cylinder, that's 1,250 horsepower. So that was the main reason why I went with these pistons, because I just want to have a, you know, a very high ceiling as far as like max power cap. You know, I just want it to be over reliable as much as possible. And that is the same reason why I chose to go with the boost line connecting rod. Wiseco as well. If you guys have not seen these, I personally have seen these like YouTube and like videos like that with these big block V8s. These rods are also rated at 250 per cylinder horsepower wise. So I felt like that was just a really good match to put a piston that is rated at that much and a rod that is rated at that much together. That just seems like a, you know, a no-brainer. So pros, these rods are very, very strong. Like I said, in those big block V8s, they run in with 8 of them. They run at 2,000 horsepower. So that's pretty intense. That's pretty insane. Definitely, you know, like I said, my goal was to just overbuild everything. So this is definitely overbuilding it for sure. Definitely advantage is they are very, very strong, stronger than pretty much any other aftermarket rod you're going to get, H-beam, I-beam, like whatever it may be. So definitely wanted to test these out. They're very close to weight with the factory rod, but you know, they're definitely a little bit heavier than some of the other aftermarket rods. But I've got a few rods here to compare them to. Figured this would be a cool time to kind of you know, compare the factory stuff with some aftermarket stuff with some other aftermarket stuff. So got a factory rod here. I got a scat rod out of my motor, and I got the max speeding rod that's out of the 500 wheel horsepower budget build. And I've got one of my factory pistons too that we can compare and you know, kind of see the difference with the aftermarket pistons that I've got. But I've got a digital scale right there, so we can also weigh each thing and compare. So that was something that I've been wanting to do for a while. So I figured now would be a really good time while I got all this stuff out on the table. So go ahead and get some of this cleaned up. All right, got all the rods laid out here. Got my digital scale. Go ahead, turn that on. I got a little baggie right here just to protect, you know, the scale from like oil and shit like that. So I've got a factory rod with the factory nuts because they just have studs and nuts. Max speeding rod, scat rod, boost line rod. All 3 of these rods, I have the ARP 2000 bolts. So went ahead and made sure the bearings were removed out of the factory rod and the scat rod, because those are two have actually been in service. So let's just go ahead and start with the factory rod. Don't want to push this rod more than 400 wheel horsepower. Looking at 662.7. So we'll just round that up to 663. And that is actually the heaviest rod here, is that factory rod. The cap is pretty heavy. So let's move on to this max speeding rod. Got the H-beam. Looks very durable. Looks very, very similar to the scat rod, but I'll show you in a minute. It's actually a little bit thicker than the scat rod. So we'll put that on 608 on the dot. So considerably lighter than factory, yet much, much stronger. These should be able to handle, you know, over 600 wheel horsepower, no problem. And at $300, you really can't beat it. But, like I was saying, they're gonna do the scat rod now, but just want to show you, you can see that the max speeding rod is a little bit thicker. So, very, very similar design. So, I definitely expect the scat rod to be a bit lighter, so let's go ahead and throw that on there and see. Let's settle. Looking at 587.1 grams. That is considerably lighter than all of the rods that I have out here. This rod was $600. I've been using this one for 5 years. Still looks very good. We'll most likely be using it in another engine, but definitely, you know, for the money, it's hard to say, because these are definitely lighter, but, you know, it's possible the max speeding rod could be a little bit stronger because they're thicker, or maybe not because of the material, who knows, but we're going to find out in the future. And then last but not least, we got the Boost Line high performance rod. Definitely the strongest one we got here. And we're looking at 637 on the dot. So, bit heavier than the scat rod, but, you know, like I said previously, will definitely support much more power. Still, you know, still much lighter than a factory rod. So, just, you know, curious to see the differences, and figure I would show you guys. Very interesting stuff to see the difference between them. So we'll go ahead and get these rods out of the way, and we'll go ahead and take a look at these pistons. All right, so let's take a look at these coated FRP pistons versus the factory AAN pistons. You know, these pistons and specs are designed and developed, engineered by Jeff Gerner at 4-Ring Performance. You will notice that this FRP piston looks similar to the factory AAN piston, and that is because this design is a reverse engineered factory piston, basically. The factory pistons are great, but, you know, this piston is just designed to use what works with the factory piston and further improve on its high performance capability. The factory piston 81 millimeter and the upgraded piston 82 millimeter. You know, this is no illusion. They're, you know, perfectly straight right here. So, you know, it's definitely, you know, just adding 1 millimeter to the whole diameter makes a pretty significant difference, you know, if you can see that. But you know, the reason why the face of the piston looks very similar is because it retains the factory 9.3 to 1 compression ratio. Now, you may be wondering, since I run E85, why would I not run the FRP 10.5 to 1 high compression pistons? Just like the ones that I showed in that video at the end of the Audi S6 vlog part 3 video. The reason for this is simple. You do not want to run those pistons on a pump E85. I was advised by Jeff, you know, when I was getting these, that, you know, you need to run barrel E85, you know, like Ignite, something like this, you know, the stuff that's around like, you know, $5 a gallon, somewhere like that. or race gas, of course. You can run it on methanol. And I just don't want to limit myself to only being able to use, race gas or run, the barrel E85. Like I said, I'm pump E85 for life. So, for me, these pistons are perfect for, what I wish to continue doing. And that is using, that $2 pump E85. So this compression ratio just, runs perfect for that. So don't really have any concerns with that. So just show you some of the differences. You can see the skirt difference. Just look at that top of the ringland. I mean, that is so beefy that compared to two. So, adding this mass and strength to the top of the piston obviously adds weight. So in order to slim that down to, make it not be so heavy, it takes some material off the bottom right there. You can see that. And like I said, everything about it is just designed for more high performance capability. So, just absolutely marvelous product. Very satisfied. Really good stuff. The best of the best. So, let's go ahead and get them on the scale and, see if this, all this extra strength comes at the price. Got the pistons out. Gonna go ahead and weigh them. We got our factory forged piston here. Set that on there, let it settle. We're looking at 349.5 grams. 349.5. Okay, got the bad boy going on there now. Oh, and we're looking at 340 gram on the dot. So I'd say 9.5, probably like an average of 9 to 10 grams lighter than a factory piston, but much bigger and much stronger. Woo, pretty. All right, so that's pretty much it for the internals. The only other thing I have left for the bottom end is the oil pan baffle. Definitely a must for high performance. Might even make a video on putting that in, because I don't know exactly how to put it in. I never installed one, but it just looks like a little puzzle. We're just gonna have to figure it out. Got some nice sexy exhaust pipes here. I know you guys have seen that manifold already, but it's just kind of just been sitting there waiting for all this stuff. But I did want to mention that I really just want to get the engine going again and get the car running on the previous setup. Reason being is I really like to see the science of things, and I think just changing a bunch of things at once is not going to really be able to calibrate all of that mentally, because changing so many things at one time, like, we don't know what's making the difference. If I do the engine build and then put a way bigger turbo on, it's like I just have no comparison. I want to see the, with the cylinder head flowing more air, that's going to change the boost threshold. Yeah, it's going to spool the turbo up quicker. Just going to, overall, should be a fairly significant difference. So I just want to experience that on the same setup. I will have to completely retune it, obviously, because flowing more air, it's going to make more power on less boost, or I should say more power on the same boost and the same amount of power on less boost. So, these are all things just to take in. But I'm going to do this stuff one day. I started making this 4-inch downpipe. I think, maybe I'm just going to make a full 4-inch exhaust. Seems definitely a little excessive, but, on that one day when I decide to pull that trigger and go 1,000 horsepower, going to have that 4-inch exhaust ready to go. So, I got a bunch of those, pipes and stuff for free. So I started playing with that, cutting, and, made a downpipe. It's pretty decent. Still got to weld it, just got it all tacked up, but I just do a little bit here and there. I don't have all the time in the world. So now that we've gone over the internals, I want to go over my plans for the assembly of the engine. I originally was going to have a local race machine shop do the machine work, but there are about 30 engines out right now, and it didn't really seem like they were very interested in my little 5-cylinder. As you can see, I have not made an update on the budget build car yet. That is because I have been having issues with the machine shops that I sent those parts to, but I will go over all that stuff in an upcoming video on that car. We'll be doing that hopefully soon, sooner than later, but like I said, got a lot of shit going on. So I was talking to, Jeff about my issue, and he said that although his normal machine shop was closed from all the COVID bullshit, he knew of another shop out of state that could do the work, and he could even send in his deck plate to hone the block with a deck plate. Which is definitely highly recommended. He even offered to assemble the bottom end for me, so I couldn't say no. I immediately jumped on this opportunity to have, the legend assemble my bottom end. I know a lot of you really want to see an AAN engine assembly video, but just be patient. This is a big deal for me. I plan on saving that for the budget book car anyway, but, of course, I know how to assemble an engine, but I am not an engine builder, I guess. This guy, he's a legend for a reason. So, like I said, to have him, do my engine, that's pretty cool. So I already have the cylinder head here, so basically just going to have him do the bottom end. He's going to send it back, and then I will do the final assembly. So I will do a video for the final assembly of my engine, but it's going to come back like a completed short block, minus the oil pan. It's just going to be the crankshaft installed with the rods and the pistons, and obviously, ready for assembly. So just thought, you guys would like to hear that information. I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, because like I said, I've been wanting to see an assembly video, because been doing these teardown videos, but really just been having a lot of issues with stuff, but we'll go over that in a later video. But for now, got a little bonus footage for you guys. Want to show you guys some of the drivetrain stuff I got. Some of it's pretty cool, so just want to throw that in there before we end this video. Alright, so I know this is engine video, but I did not want to end this video without going over all of the drivetrain upgrades that I got. I pretty much got everything that I want to do, minus the rear diff. I really would like to do a wave track rear differential, like something on that level. That's just something that I have not purchased yet. Some of the stuff that I bought, it took a long time to come in, so that's why I've just been slowly collecting this shit over time. You guys that have been following for a while know that, I let a friend at work drive the car and have some fun, and unfortunately he did break the transmission trying to no-lift shift it. So he did buy me the JHM upgrade kit. That took forever to come in. That took months to come in. They was waiting on the shift collar, the updated shift collar, to be manufactured, and with all the COVID and everything going on last year, all that stuff was just bullshit, and it still is bullshit. All kinds of, dumb shit going on. So, whatever. But luckily, it did come in finally. So, I plan on taking that 5-speed out of the car and rebuilding the 6-speed with the upgraded parts and slapping the 6-speed back in there when we get it running. So, this is the actual JHM kit. This is one of the carbon synchros. They all look exactly the same. So you can see that material on there is much, much better than OE. Much more friction. But the real reason, in my opinion, why you do the JHM upgrade is the upgraded shift collar. It's a nice hardened piece. So those teeth are much, much stronger, because that's basically the issue, is these teeth in here meshing with the other teeth, and they basically get those flat spots, and it just doesn't shift so smooth anymore. So by putting this in your O1E transmission, definitely a game changer. I personally have felt it, not in my personal car. I've never had the money to do the upgrade, but now I do, so that's pretty cool. Moving on, I got the linkage. This is if you get the upgraded linkage from Apical, it's basically a factory shifter. You send in your factory shifter, so I sent them this one. This is a spare one that I have, and then they replaced the ball with just like a solid shifter ball like that. Very similar to the JHM. but this is for the 5-speed linkage. So I have the 034 short throw, but you know, been noticing, you know, the last year or so, the bushing on the actual shifter of mine is kind of worn out. So the original plans were to use this shifter, but I actually have different plans for this, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Got the Apical rear diff mount. Very, very nice. Look at that CNC on there. That's pretty nice. I'll put that in probably when I end up doing the diff. I probably won't do that now. Some bushings for the rear, and I got some other bushings coming in. New clutch. This is very similar to my old clutch, or I should say my current clutch, being that it's 4-puck, ceramic, just a different company. Custom Clutches or California Custom Clutch. These are really good guys, obviously made in USA. That's very good. So this clutch, the benefits over my other clutch are that these are heat treated. They do, you know, special little, you know, some voodoo magic on it to help it perform better. But I think the best part about buying one of these clutches is their warranty is very, very good, or so I've heard. If you burn it up, especially with these, you can just send the disc and the pressure plate back and they will remachine the disc, replace anything that, remachine the pressure plate and replace any, you know, diaphragm springs or anything like that that it need, basically rebuild it if they need to, and then they will repuck the clutch. Very cheap, if not free under warranty. So definitely want to give that a try. It was also $200 cheaper than the South Bend Stage 4 that I have. So it's right around like $800 shipped. There's definitely a couple of options out there. Some of them are basically the same thing, but a little cheaper. But at the time, I had the opportunity to get this one. I was recommended it, so I decided to pull the trigger and go for that. So other than that, the reason why I am not going to be using this 5-speed linkage is because I am actually going to be using 6-speed linkage. Now, normally this wouldn't work, but the reason why it is going to work is because I actually have a new shifter for the car. This is the base for the shifter. And I'm sure some of you know already what's going to come out of this box, and it is a super duper nice Cooler Works shifter. Look at that. Whoo, baby. Even got that carbon fiber on there, you know, YOLO. So this bad boy not cheap, about 500 euro. You know, I was able to do the PayPal and, you know, they transferred the funds, you know, to get it figured out. Took a little while to come in, but it's finally here. So basically the difference with this using this shifter is you delete the stabilizer rod. So by deleting the stabilizer rod, you only have the shifter rod. So I just figured, you know, I've had this, you know, this should work fine, the 5-speed, but doing the upgraded 6-speed linkage, like upgraded being like with the JHM upgraded linkage, I just wanted to try that. So I got the basically Cooler Works shifter for the Audi 100 and then selected 6-speed. So on the bottom it came with the fitting for the 6-speed. So I have the linkage and I have ordered the piece, basically this piece for the 6-speed from JHM to upgrade it. Just waiting for that to come in. So that should be very exciting. Having, you know, the carbon synchros and the shift collar, then having the shorter throw with the nice crisp shifts. You know, with that no lift shift, I should really be able to, you know, turn some good times in this baby. So pretty excited about that. Just, you know, thought you guys would like to see all this stuff. Appreciate everybody for sticking around. I know this is a really long video, just a bunch of talking, and, you know, I personally, you know, can't stand it. I want to see some action, but, you know, the car's down right now, don't really have any action going on, so figured this is better than nothing. I'm going to start doing assembly, going to start doing the transmission, Do plan on doing a video on the JHM upgrade. Most of you know, I've already done a video like on the ONE 6-speed transmission teardown, but that was just swapping the collar. So this time I'm actually going to be changing all of the synchros out. So I think what I'm going to do is do a video on literally when you get down to the synchro. So basically you can use both of the videos. You know, I'm not going to go back and film all that shit again. Like, that was a lot of shit to film and I just don't have time for that shit. So you can use both video if you want, but you know, ideally it's not really like how to. I just like to just, you know, document the shit that I do, and if it helps, it helps. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it really doesn't matter. Just, you know, like to document the shit. But just want to say thank you everybody for watching. Hope to get the block back soon. Get that going. I got some other projects going on, so definitely will be doing an update video for budget build car. And then I got another car coming on the channel very soon that I got to do some work on, so we'll most likely be doing a video on that car as well. So like I said, appreciate you guys for sticking around, and appreciate you know, all the support and everything. You guys literally are the shit. Just cool as fuck to be part of this community. I really love it. You guys are liking the fuck out of that coworker reaction video, so you know, definitely plan on doing another one of those when the car is done. Plan on taking a lot more people for rides. Just, you know, got a lot of fun stuff planned for the future. I'm just super duper busy right now. I'm trying to get everything together, but you know, I'm hoping this year, you know, I will be able to get it all going again and start, you know, making all my videos and, you know, keep you guys up to date on everything I got going on. But like I said, enough talking for one day. Appreciate you guys for sticking around and hope everybody have a very good day.